Chair recognizes the gentleman from California.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment forbids scarce defense dollars from being spent to fund 3 executive orders and several other provisions of law that require our military to squander billions of dollars in so-called green energy. The House adopted this amendment by a voice vote last year. I'd again remind the House that just a few weeks ago, the so-called defense hawks warned that our defense budget has been strangled by sequestration, that every dollar of waste had long ago been wrung out of the Pentagon budget, and that our national security was directly imperiled as a result. That argument carried the day, even though it will add billions of dollars to the national debt. Yet, although we were told we didn't have enough money to adequately pay and supply troops in the field, it seems that we do have plenty of defense money to indulge the green energy mandates that are imposed on our armed forces. What truly troubles me is that this was all aired during debate on the DoD Appropriations bill last year. The limiting amendments were adopted by voice, and yet we see the same waste again allowed in this year's bill. Let me refresh memories about the green energy mandates. The GAO reports that these mandates have cost the Navy as much as $150 per gallon for jet fuel. In 2012, the Navy was forced to purchase 450,000 gallons of biofuel for its so-called green fleet at the cost of $26.60 per gallon, when conventional petroleum cost just $2.50 per gallon. These mandates forced the Air Force to pay $59 per gallon for 11,000 gallons of biofuel in 2012. That's 10 times more than regular jet fuel cost. And it's not just biofuels. Last year, the Pentagon was required to purchase over 1,000 Chevy Volts at a subsidized price of $40,000 each. As Senator Coburn's office pointed out, each one of these $40,000 Chevy Volts represents the choice not to provide an entire infantry platoon with all new rifles or 50,000 rounds of ammunition that cannot be used for realistic training. These green energy mandates have required the Army and the Navy to install solar arrays at various facilities. At Navy Station Norfolk, for example, the Navy spent $21 million to install a 10-acre solar array, which will supply a grand total of 2% of the base's electricity. And according to the Inspector General's office, this project will save enough money to pay for itself in just 447 years. It's too bad solar panels only last about 25 years. We don't know exactly how much these mandates waste because, as the GAO reports, quote, there is currently no comprehensive inventory of which federal agencies are implementing renewable energy-related initiatives and the types of initiatives they are implementing, end quote. But outside estimates are as much as $7 billion for the Department of Defense last year, a figure that's expected to grow in the future. We're told this program is necessary for flexibility. Well, really? Shouldn't flexibility free us to get cheaper and more plentiful fuels, not more expensive and more exotic ones? We're told the military should do its part for the environment, as if it's possible to fight an environmentally sensitive war. And that, I fear, is the real reason for this wasteful spending, to sacrifice our military budget on the altar of climate change. And this is part of an ideological crusade imposed on our military that will pointlessly consume billions of defense dollars, mainly to keep money flowing to politically well-connected green energy companies that can't get anyone else to buy their products. There is a reason that Admiral Mullen warned us that in his professional military judgment, the greatest threat to our national security is our national debt. Now, we just increased that debt because of assurances that we'd stretch the defense budget to the breaking point. As long as this program continues to consume billions of our defense dollars, that claim cannot be taken seriously, and I reserve the balance.
Gentleman reserves, yield.